Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Hey, there we are, Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Yes, right? Okay, I'm just so grateful that you're here. This is a time, as I was talking with our guests before this show, it's a time for us to stand in our power, our sovereignty. It's going to be my nonstop message, I think, for a while, because the forces that are around to say, hey, how about this? One of those? Don't you want a hot dog? Yeah, right. Yeah, we played all those games before, and now they're just trying to, as we're getting stronger, we have the ability to get stronger in ourselves as we awaken and evolve. They're like, give them more delusion. Let's give them more lies. And how are we going to navigate through that? Well, I've got a guest here that's going to help you navigate your own lies, your own delusions, and the sense of it coming at you to help you find like your power, your deeper life, the radiance, the prosperous, beautiful life that you're looking for. And she's such a joy to be with, and she's got incredible things to share with you. We're going to have an incredible conversation you just won't want to miss. So, Lisa, just so grateful to have you here today.
What a beautiful introduction. You were clearly channeling, because all of those words are me. They're all the words I embody. I'm like, yes, tick, tick, tick. So thank you for having me. I haven't actually been in conversation on a podcast for a while. I did it, a lot, probably a year ago for the past few years. So this is my first one back. So thank you.
Oh,
I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, this is amazing. Yes. So I want to go ahead and tell you more about Lisa. So she's an intuitive mentor, seer, guide, author, and speaker. She empowers and inspires women to connect with their true essence. That's priceless, right? Can't get any better than that. All right. And the infinite source of power. Oh my God. No wonder we're being such fast friends, right? Returning to their hearts so they can live, lead, and create from this place. Now, she has this amazing method that sounds so cool, her Wholehearted Method. She's even trademarked it because it's so cool. It's a 90-day intensive where she supports women to cultivate a deeper connection with themselves and the world around them by illuminating what is true and what is standing in their way and helping them to cross the bridge from head to heart. Lisa is a light leading the way home for others, embodying a life lived from her whole heart. Connect with her all over the place, and she's constantly sharing about her life and her partner and her journey in a raw, real way. You got it, man. You just want to connect with her. It is true, Lisa. You use a lot of words that like I can tell we're both on the same channel. Like when I channel, like I say, it's a lot of these we're going back home. I say that all the time in channeling, and just in general, and mostly in channeling, but like it comes up all the time. Come back home. Come back home. Get in your power. Get in your power. My goodness. So this is so delightful. And wow, we are in intensive times. I think it is very helpful, perhaps, for us to talk about some of the challenges that people face to create this amazing life that they're looking for, this beautiful, successful life that they want to create for themselves, when the fear is rampant, within from our dramas, right? From traumas and dramas, whatever, both, right? That we've experienced to the lifetimes, to this life. And then, we were talking a little bit before the show about collective traumas, like lockdowns and things like that. You were there in Melbourne, Australia. It's very intense there. So in a world that, although things seem very open compared to the way they were before, and like, oh yeah, there's a lot of sense of like, can we really say what we want to say? Can we really be who we want to be? And all that stuff. There's so many things around. So it's more important to keep our consciousness clean and clear than ever before, and to be in that practice, because it's easy to come off that center otherwise, potentially. So how can we allow ourselves to come into that deeper essence of who we really are? Where do you start with people? Like, someone's like, I'm so fearful, but I want this big life, and I know there's more, and I've been meditating, but I feel lost. And, where do you start with people?
I feel a lot of people firstly, they lack clarity on the depth of who they are, like the truth of who they are. So they've had moments of seeing it or other people sharing it, but really, really knowing it for themselves and having that clearly reflected back to them is the first place I work with people. So when I meet somebody, I see them so clearly. I see the truth, their true essence beyond the stories, the conditioning. So first and foremost, it's them seeing it and hearing it from somebody else that has never met them before, that has never been in their world. So, we know that when we go back, say, for example, we go back into our families, a lot of people, we go back into friendships, we behave a certain way, we've taken on roles and identities, and we believe that to be true about ourselves. And so the first part is them seeing so clearly who they are. The second thing is, so many people that I meet are on this rabbit wheel of trying to find who they are. So they're all of their energy is spread into so many different different platforms and different voices. So one person is saying this and one person is saying that, and one podcast is saying this and one book is saying this. But ultimately, drawing the energy back, like turning that energy back, turning the power back from giving it out to these external sources and turning it inwards. That is the second point. Okay, so for my whole life, I've been listening to others. I've been giving my power away. I've been seeking guidance. Now I've got to stop this, and I've got to turn that power back in, or reclaim my power, plug my core back into me, reestablish that connection. And so there's that third point is commitment. So many people are not committed to reestablishing, reconnecting their own power. And so, as I said, it's like this plug, they're going outside of them. Okay, if I plug into this podcast might give me the answer. If I plug into this book is going to give me the answer. But what they're missing is the connection to their true essence, their higher self, and an ability to connect with something greater than themselves that's always giving us information, insights, all we need moment to moment to moment. So when we're committed to connecting to ourselves every single day and finding the techniques and the tools that resonate, first and foremost, beyond anything else, and turning the volume down from the external world continually, and continually to turn up the volume on our own channel, like we were sharing our own channel, we start to receive and create a clear channel of guidance, as I said, moment to moment.
Yes.
Now, of course, that's alongside. There is that other version that has become the woman who was married, who's given her power away to her husband, maybe in him being, I'm just giving you my example of my story. There's the woman in my world, there's the woman whose her plan has been to marry into somebody that's able to support her financially. She raises the kids, she does the emotional support. And so her whole identity is caught up with, that's what success means like. That's what success looks like. Got a beautiful lifestyle, you have a husband that goes off and works, you've got 2 or 3 kids, your needs are met, but ultimately you've lost your connection. There's no success because your connection to self is not there.
Right.
So alongside the connection, reestablishing that connection to self and the power beyond us is redefining, creating a new version of you and stepping into that new version of you, which is mind. How do I change my thoughts? What thoughts am I choosing to believe? that actually don't belong to the version of my truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do I embody that? Which is the key, as we know, because mind is only one aspect. And I've done a lot of, reading, and I've been to retreats with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And what I love is that our bodies become our subconscious mind. So we actually need to get our bodies online. We need to retrain and reprogram our bodies to embody a new version of ourselves. So a big part of the work that I'm doing is it's not just mind, but whether we're using breath, whether we're using tapping, whether we're using dance and movement, which is a massive part of my world. How do we liberate our bodies and retrain our bodies to take on the version of ourselves that we know to be true of us?
Mm-hmm.
Empowered, in a state of knowingness, being at one with life.
Yeah, there we go, right there. Just be at one. I love that. I love it. Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate, Make Money meditation today. So if I break down some of those steps you said earlier, so we've got, what's the truth about yourself? Like really understanding that. And then once you know that, like stop not being the truth of who you are by giving your power away is kind of what I'm hearing. Hey, this is what's true about me. Let me just try to satisfy, what other people and go with what other people are saying and go seeking everywhere and get my power away. I already know who I am, and rather than operating from the truth of who you are and trusting that more, because the way I look at it, when I I do a podcast and I listen to podcasts. So I take in information quite a bit, actually. I know it didn't used to be, there's years and years I barely took in information that much, like in that way. Like I just be here and there, but I'd be like, I don't know, I know everything I know, just channel up to source, So I went through a whole phase with that, and then I was like, oh, I want the input again, so I get a lot of input. Not a big book reader all the time, but I love listening to interviews. No wonder, right? Because I love doing this podcast. So when you're coming from your sovereignty and your power, though, you can stay awake, and when the programming is hitting you, and it doesn't suit you, you can just say, oh, cancel that, or turn to another channel, right? But so it's not like cut out everything. It's just like, all right, take in, like, okay, just be mindful, watchful, right? And then like you just let go of the rest, right? Because there's things I hear from other people I share in my coaching and stuff, like, hey, here, I got this download for you. And it's actually something I just heard earlier in the day, right? But I felt like it's a message for this person. So it's beautiful that we do take in these things. And then Source will remind you sometimes of things you heard earlier as a download. I'm going to download to share this with you now, right? So that's beautiful. And then we get, just downloads from who knows where they're coming from in terms of how they come through our channel. But we get other downloads. I think one of the things I've seen as an issue that I wanted to hit on is because I ran into it to some degree on my path, and it was the whole, once I learned how to tune in and get answers, like some people go crazy with it. I did in my own way, and some people are even way out there with it. But okay, let me just channel all day, and as long as I keep getting those hits, I'll know what I need to know, and then I'll do what I need to do, and then it's always okay. That's not what we're talking about. Like there's a deeper presence and radiance that you're meant to connect with, and you happen to, you can use inquiry, whatever you want. I mean, but you're not doing it out of seeking, like, because that's giving your power away too, is it not? I mean, that's how I see it, Lisa. Like in a way, it can be really giving your power away. Yes, you may get some good answers. Yes, it may be empowering, but it's still giving your power away because, oh, just tell me what to do. Oh, go this way. Okay, I'll go that way. Okay. And it's going to confuse some people, me saying this, but that's what I like to do on this. momentarily confuse people sometimes, so we can reorient people to understand you're meant to just connect, come into this oneness you're talking about, right? And then okay, we're downloading stuff. Man, I'm tuning in. All right. Feels like go this way, go that way. But we just do it from the non-connected place and just, oh, just intuitively get my downloads. This works, right? That's, yeah, a little bit. But that's not what we're really talking about here. It's what I've got from you, from what you were saying. So anyway, so yeah.
I think it's a really good thing to just
Yeah.
underscore here. I agree. So when it's about tuning, so firstly, just going back to what you were saying about receiving, downloads and inspiration and information from other sources, I fully agree. I do that with my clients. They come through not because I'm seeking them, just because I'm kind of led to something, and they go, oh, this resource is actually for this person, not for me. Well, of course, it's partly for me.
Right. It's all for us.
It comes through. Right? Yeah. But the other thing is, but for those people that have been on a search, and many people in the spiritual world are on this search, it's almost like they're trying to find the thing to fix, to fill up, to make whole and complete. If they're coming from that energy, that's where the need to turn that, or to lower the volume on all of those external things, to then be able to hear. And then when we talk about channeling or receiving guidance, for me, it's more so, the key thing is to be able to live in this world. So if I'm connecting and channeling, for me, I need to be in my body, living in this world. That's been a big part of my journey, because it was easier to connect up, but actually not be experiencing what life is like with all of my senses, and, experiencing the challenges and the messiness at times, and then the joys and the heights of all of that. But for me, the receiving and the tuning in is more so the commitment to living from my heart more and more, and from this internal space. And in that, then I receive without actually looking or searching or asking for. I get the symbols, I get the synchronicity, I get the, this way or that way, rather than I need to get this to be able to live. Right,
exactly. Man, I don't know what's next. Let me just tune it up. Let me muscle test it. So we go around like this all day. Whoa, where are we going next? Where, when you're connected, you get more of an I don't know, my experience is, I think people that get more connected overall, not that I'm massively connected every moment. I'm saying that either, but I'm saying people that get more and more connected, increasingly you just get a sense of what's true in each moment. Like, oh, this is what's going on. Oh, this is what needs to be shared. Oh, this is what I need to be doing. Oh, that doesn't mean do no inquiry and none of the other stuff. It just means that becomes, for me, secondary, where it's maybe when I was less connected, I'm like, oh man, this muscle testing thing is amazing. Let's test everything. Right? We've all gone through those phases. Yeah. So it's got a depth to it. And so how do we get more at oneness? For me, a huge part of the path has been meditation. For some people, it might be, breath work. You talked about movement and dance, for example, sound like they're really important for you to connect, but also to integrate into this world, right? How much better, right? Dance and movement, great ways to do that. So what are some of the common ways to get more connected into the deeper presence, rather than, because otherwise a lot of stuff gets in the headspace, right? Which is fine, it's part of it, but okay, I know who I am. Okay, I'm claiming my power. That can become mental too. And now I know, and I use my intuition. Now I know that too. And but how do we get more connected into the deeper presence?
So I remember when it was about 4.5 years ago, when I went to my first Dr. Joe retreat, and we were doing this deep 3-hour meditation, and he took us to connect with our hearts. And I was like, where's my heart? So I'd spent 10 years doing a whole lot of work on my healing and so forth. But when I was asked to go to that place, I could not feel that part of me. I couldn't connect. The disconnect, there was just no connection. And so what I want to say for me is and this is why the Wholehearted Method came through me as the method to take people through this process, is I realized that growing up, there was no learning or training or, we have a heart. The heart is the center of it holds our desires, it holds our creativity, it's where we love from. It's like the connection to all things divine. And so for me, it's been reestablishing that relationship with my heart, and not just in a meditation, which is beautiful, but how can I throughout my day continue to return home? So return home is absolutely the words I use as well. So for me, it's hand on my heart. It's taking moments throughout the day. It's quietening my mind, because as soon as I put my hand on my heart, I'm out of my head. I'm back into my body. I'm with my breath. I'm with my presence. And then I will ask questions like, what do I need in this moment to connect? What do I need to hear? What do I need to see? Where do I need to be? The more I've done that, my relationship now with my heart, as soon as I go in, I feel my heart. I feel my heart blossoming. I feel the energy around my heart. It's not I don't have to work at it. And so for somebody who was highly analytical, a ruminator, who'd had depression for many years, it's been a journey to reprogram, but also to catch myself, because the body is like a wild horse when it's it becomes a subconscious mind, is how can I reprogram and retrain my body to regulate my nervous system and to develop a really deep connection with my heart. And so that's been a big thing for me, and that is a part of the process that I do, that I work with people.
Yeah, definitely have a question on that. So again, just how is it that, so something doesn't add up for me in the way it's coming across. So how is it that we need to reprogram ourselves, and yet we're coming to our essential nature and ourself? Like, that's the unprogrammed self, right? But we got to program ourselves into the non-programming. I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm like, how does that make sense? So help us with that.
So our bodies are conditioned.
Yes.
So as we know, when we've thought so many times, our body becomes, our feelings become greater than our mind. Yeah. So if our feelings are dictating our actions, then we have to learn to reprogram the way our body responds to life. So yes, we're connecting with our hearts, we're bringing that in, but at the same time, I can be bringing somebody in to connect with their hearts, but their body is still responding in the way of the trauma.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So regulating the nervous system, calming the body, doing the work to reprogram the way that they respond to life, coincides with developing this relationship with their hearts. Because if their body is fighting it, they can't get connected. It's right. Almost, I found with my clients, right. They're unable to, they don't trust. Yeah. So if their body's been in a state of fight or flight, yes, and they've been living in survival, then their bodies need to know it's safe within this environment to then come right. home.
No, I hear you. I mean, I've got clients like that, like, so what are you feeling? Well, what do we need to do? It's more, it's not verbatim what happens, but it's basically that's what it is. It's like, yeah, I'm not feeling great, but what's next? Because how I'm feeling doesn't matter, ultimately. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all to them. I'm just saying, like, well, it doesn't matter. Let's fix the problem, Okay, wait a minute, but how are you feeling? What's going on? You're irritated, right? Yeah, that doesn't matter. It's no big deal. Let's go. And so, yeah, that's because it's just this sense of, I don't know if I'm going to say it's for women in this case, because those are the examples that come to mind, but it could be, men got got lots of issues, of course, but big time. But it's this, I might fall apart, basically, is how I look at it. Like, if I really get into that vulnerable space, I might not make it. because I might get crushed because maybe they were crushed, at some point earlier in their life. And definitely I've experienced that, where it could be the smallest things, even like, oh, my heart has been crushed by whatever, the smallest thing. You made me quit playing, Mom. You made me go to the store. I'll never forgive you for that. Like I have never really said that, but like it almost comes down to that. Like, how dare you? You invaded my sovereignty. How dare you? As a kid, like these memories stay with me. I've had to clear them again and again. There I am with my yellow truck again, right? Right? At least his hand is going up. So what I'm hearing is like we need to move through that stuff, so that, for me, just the word throws me off. So I think you're saying attuning yourself to to the wholeness and trueness that you are. The programming thing makes me think about programming, or like bringing us into being conditioned again. And the idea is to drop the conditioning. So I think that's what was tripping me up. So I totally understand what you're talking about. It's really bringing people in a place where they are able to, and working them out the old conditioning and trauma, and bringing it back into wholeness, is maybe a way to put it. Is that correct, Lisa?
Yeah, so it's essentially the body needs to be tuned in to the state that it was in when we came into this physical form. More and more, it doesn't just happen overnight. So how do we tune our bodies to feel safe? How do we tune our bodies to feel loved? How do we tune our bodies to feel calm? Because in that state, then we are able to really trust and receive the guidance. Because many people are like, I just need to connect to my heart. I just need to connect to my heart. But they're missing that the body's like holding memories of, it's not safe to trust. I can't trust myself. I've made mistakes. I've failed. All the stories are held in our cells. And whilst it's great to say, let's connect to our heart, we actually need to liberate. I say liberate ourselves from the stories and the feelings or the emotions that are tied up in the stories, so that we can come back and tune back into safety and the feeling, a sense of love and calm.
Right. People say that our gifts are in our wounds. So how does that play into your work? Like, man, this horrible thing happened to me. There I am again with that yellow truck, or whatever it is. I mean, I shouldn't probably use that too much here. I mean, I'm run over by a trailer, like that's the real trauma. But it's funny, like probably the yellow truck is more traumatizing to me than getting run over by a trailer. That's how weird it is to your logical mind. Why? That's stupid, is what my mind says. That's stupid. Obviously, the trailer's worse. But it's funny. There's certain things that just crush our spirit. Yeah, they just crush us, and they're not always the big things, although they can be. Right? The abuse, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, whatever people have experienced. I mean, it could be that, but often what I've seen was someone who worked as a therapist and all that, is it's often what we found is, it's not that you're physically abused, that you're sexually abused. It's how you felt, how you were being treated, like more so than any of those things. It's more the other things that go with it, is what I've heard. So yeah, I mean, it's wild. Yeah, and I think like for light workers, it's like, well, why doesn't this world support me the way it ought to? And then we're like, we want to go with the light and get out of our bodies and all that stuff, like you talking about, like that part of your journey for a while, right? It's like, let me just get channeled up and be done with it, right? So is that something you run into with the people you work with once they start opening up? Like, imagine, you take them through this process, and no, okay, good. Well, that's nice, because you must be doing something really well, because that often happens otherwise. If things aren't done correctly, people are like, let's leave the body.
And I think because you talk about the trauma and how our trauma is what often the wound of what we teach. Yeah. So my wound was, or one of the wounds was the disconnect that came from complete disconnect with my body. So I lived with bulimia for 20 years. So that was complete disconnect. And that was as a result of feeling like I was a failure. In the eyes of my parents, I thought they saw me as a failure. I'd failed the school system. I was a failure. So it's interesting because one of the things we talked about before this interview was having a conversation around what success looks like.
Yes.
And so success for me and where I'm teaching people is to be connected to self, which comes back to what we were talking about before. That connection to self is the key for me. It's what guides me, what drives me. It's been the source of me coming home to me. It was a source of the disconnect was a source of my deepest suffering. So for me to have people then connect to the light and to be channeling that bypasses the whole human experience, and that we are here to have connection with ourselves, connection to nature, connection to people, and then also, of course, to the world around us. It's all encompassing. So success is being in our physical bodies. Success is experiencing what life is here to give us and show us and teach us and have us evolve. And success, and I know I've just kind of circled back but around to another topic, but for me, success is redefining for each of us by coming home to ourselves and asking those deeper questions. What do I want to do in this lifetime? Who do I want to be with? How do I want to express myself? What is true for me? And that's where tuning out of the people around us can often be helpful, because whilst we're tuned in, my experience, when we're tuned into, say, the environments in which we've grown up to, they're dictating one version of success, which was never true for me. So for me, success, I've realized, is following my heart's guidance. And my heart's guidance isn't on one track alone. My heart's guidance wants me to experience this in this area of my work. It also wants me to experience in this. It knows that in all of my experiences in my working life and my relationships has given me such juice that has made me who I am today. And that rather than living with regret that things haven't worked out, they've actually been things that I've taken from and have become who I am. Now, to another, that's not successful. To many people around me, I haven't succeeded at times because I haven't followed through and stayed in one job and stayed on one career path for my entire life. And I never will, Daniel, ever. Because that's not true for me. And that's success.
Right. I know when we did first chatted, we talked about this idea of being different, right? That is there something wrong with wanting to go a different path than what everybody else is doing, or what's considered to be the right way? There's so many ideas about what's right now. I mean, then we have so many versions. Now, there used to be just a classical version, Western version of success. Kill yourself, make a lot of money, go up the corporate ladder or whatever. keep climbing, make bank, and kick back, retire, with 2.3 kids and all that sort of thing, right? So that was kind of like what we got when we were younger, right? Like that was the kind of the basics kind of success story. Different ones, but as one of the basic ones. Now we've got people saying, no, you've got to work even harder now, harder than ever before. That's the only way to get ahead. You got to do that. You've got to know. So it was 100 hours before, now it's 120 per week. Like, then you got other people saying, if you're working more than 3 hours a week, I think you're crazy. Like, you only need to work like 3 hours a week, and you can be making millions and all this. Like, you've got such divergent ideas around success. The dominant one's still the old one because it's deep in our mind still, right? But you have all these divergent ideas, and then when but when you come along and you show up and you're not the norm, the old conditioned norm, most of the people are still conditioned in that. Still, it's still not, hasn't totally flipped yet. It's getting closer, but it is still not totally the norm until the COVID bomb hit. I mean, it was totally not the norm. Like, yeah, I'm making all this money, work 20, 30 hours a week. I'm a coach and all this. They're like, what? Yeah, whatever. You're not doing anything. Like, you don't have any kind of life. Like, that would be the opinion, right? Now people were forced to stay home and everything, starting to get it more. I think are understanding this sort of life more and more. But the minute you start diverging, like even let's say in the coach industry, like, okay, well, yeah, it's 20K to work like 1 week with me or something. Whoa, okay, you're something else. You're not the norm, and that's not right. And the minute you stand out from everybody else, there's always going to be people that are attracted and repelled by it, right? And I say, I totally would love to work with you. And I love that idea of being like that. And there'll be people that say, oh, you're the devil and you're the worst thing ever. And your people like you are the reason why we got the problems we got on the planet, right? And I always say there's room for everything as long as it's true to you. I use the same words as you do. Are you being true to you? Are you being true to your truth? That's what matters, not all these different concepts around the way it should be. What's true for you? That's all that matters. So if Lisa, if you want to do a million different things in your life, I'd be thrilled if that was your truth. Like, that's great, right? But so to me, if success is living your truth, I think we're probably on the same page there for sure. Yeah.
And so it's so simple yet so it becomes so complicated.
Yeah,
because
it can be,
me,
right? Mm-hmm.
Because it is that for me, it has been a big, and for my clients, is shutting out the external world to really inquire what is my truth moment to moment. And so if I'm on this path, is there any aspect in my life that's actually not true for me? And if there's not, there's a conversation to be had. There's something to do. It's not just seeing it and shutting off. It's like, what do I need to do to clear it up so I know whether I'm going to continue with that relationship, that job, that project, whatever it might be, or is it time to close that loop off, to reclaim that energy, and then to look at what else is true for me now.
So I think people could stand maybe to get some tips about, well, if it's all about living your truth, how the hell do we do that? We've kind of pointed to it during the show, or you especially did, but how do we do that? How do we live our truth then?
So, as I said at the start, we have to get clear on who we are innately, like who we are at our core. So when we know who we are at our core, we have to then really not just celebrate that and live in that state more and more. So how do we do that? So for example, for me, I know, and I just keep using me as an example because it's just easy. For me, I know that it is part of my being is that I have an inner strength and I have a very strong voice. So it's something that communication's key for me, that I'm a communicator. Now, for a long time, I wasn't. I was shut down. So for me, my truth is to be able to communicate, to not be afraid of communication. So to live from that place, it's noticing the subtleties of when I'm not communicating. What do I need to communicate? This is just something very small. And then choosing again, okay, so here I am in this place and I'm choosing to use my voice because I'm not in my past. It's true for me to communicate, even though I don't know what the response or the reaction is going to be to my communication. I'm still choosing that for me. That's just one small example. Right.
It's sort of another way I hear it is overall is catching your old just habitual ways of being and patterns.
Yes.
And being like, okay, that's not my truth. That's just some pattern. That's just some old way of being. I'm not even being myself. I mean, what helps me often is if I find my energy kind of go on wah, 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 like that kind of wonky energy is coming in. I'm just, okay, am I standing in my truth and my power right now? And I don't ask it out loud that way, but basically I just translate it down to stand in your power, like, and I just like, boom, turn the power on. Okay. Oh, okay. Now I'm so clear. I'm so firm. When you're in your power, it's like you don't sit there questioning everything to death. Like, but I don't know. I don't know this and I don't know that. Okay, you're not in your power. If you're in your power, then you start to know your truth. Like, okay, it's clear to me I need to speak up here. It's clear to me I need to be done with this job or this relationship. It's clear to me I need to start a new business. It's clear to me I need to ramp up my business or whatever, right? Like then it's easy once we're in our power. But what I'm hearing is some people are so traumatized they have no great ability to access their true power, right? It's what I'm guessing. Is that what you've noticed, or have you seen?
Yeah, so there's the powerlessness. There's a powerless version, which is attached to all the identities and the patterns. I can't have this. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm disconnect. And then there's a version of us that is whole and complete and knows ourselves and knows the truth of who we are and not always connected, but knows and can stand in that. And so it's interesting. What came to mind is I've got a client at the moment that I'm having her stand up. So she finds herself sitting down. And when she's sitting down, I'm like, so now she's actually physically standing up for herself. So she literally stands up and she's like, what am I standing up for? Who do I believe? Who do I know myself to be? Now, I haven't done that with a client ever before because it's never been necessary, but it's very much having her literally physically step into the powerful version of herself, which has connection and is a completely different stance in life. So when we feel our energy like it's contracted, we know that we're not in our truth. So how do we actually keep coming back and stepping into a powerful version, embodying that in our bodies? And that can be, and the way to then train that, and I do this, is so throughout the day, noticing when do you feel in your power? Like, when you jump in the car, you know how to drive a car. Like, you know how to cook a meal, that you're in your power. You don't have to think, you just know. That to me is being in your power. When you notice those moments, when you're empowered, when you're feeling powerful, anchor those in, feel it, expand it, imagine, allow your whole body and your cells to experience that feeling of being empowered. Bring that online.
That's great.
And the more they do that, the more then we're like stepping into the state of wholeness. Right. And then we do have access to the truth.
That's great. That's a great technique, a way of doing it, like building that connection, bringing that online. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I like that a lot. So what are some other, as we're beginning to start to get along in the show, what are some other tips you have for people so they can, as we're talking about here on the show, how can we start creating this version of the beautiful, successful life that we want for ourselves? So of course, it's the things you've already said, but what are some additional tools or tips you have for people to be able to do that? We've given them a foundation. What are some other things for them to work with?
So in building a new version of you, or the version of you that is true, like really bringing that online and stepping into and embodying that, it's key to have a vision. It's key to have the clarity. It's key to know and to be visualizing and imagining it and seeing it every single day. And that's where commitment comes in, because otherwise we're trapped and we're locked in the past version of ourselves. So with my clients, that we work through a number of different visions for different areas of their life. So it's who they are when they're fully expressed, when they're living their true nature. And so I was going to give that as an example. So every day they're stepping into that, they're moving like that. What thoughts am I thinking when I'm that future version of me? How am I moving through life? How am I standing? How am I engaging? How am I communicating? So they're really building a big picture, like a new script of who that version is when they're living true to themselves. The other thing that we do, and I take them through the creative process, which we all know, and that is like stepping. So rather than, so much of our world is the way people build a goal or set a goal is they are standing from where they are present and they're looking at the future and they're like, okay, so that's my goal. How? And then we get into the head, how am I going to get there? And so our limited minds, which are only based on the past and only what we know, have us, okay, what's the very next step? But with the process that I take them through, it's how do we step into the version of or the vision of what we're looking to create, and looking back at the current reality where we're standing, and then asking and seeking what is the very next step that's going to move me from where I am to this future version of me. And so that's where intuition arises. And it's just like literally it'll be a thought, oh, you know, I need to go down the street, for example, and I need to go and get something from the shops. And on the way to the shops, they'll see a symbol or a message or they'll bump into somebody. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's building that version or that vision, not from the level of the mind, but from accessing our intuition.
Right.
That's where magic, and that's where things and synchronicities and possibilities arise that are beyond anything that we can possibly think up for ourselves. And then the commitment back to what are the things that resonate for you that are in line with this future version of you, that this truth of who you are. So for me, it's meditation every single day. It is journaling on gratitude every single day. It is dancing every single day. It is making sure my mind and my body is nourished every single day. I'm just trying to think about my list because I've just recreated one, and I've set it for 90 days. And this is what I do with my clients, because a lot of them come to me and they haven't been fully committed to, they've been stabbing in the dark. I'll try this and I'll try this and maybe this will work and maybe this will help me, you know, create the reality and create this beautiful life, but it hasn't. And then they have this mindset that nothing works or it's never going to change and I'm always going to be like this.
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. If I could just comment on that real quickly, and then I want to hear what you were going to say next, is this, because he keeps talking about commitment, and one of the things I've committed to, for an example, like, I don't know why I'm using this example, but I'll be listening to a podcast or something like that, listen to what they're saying. I'm like, you know, I don't really agree with what they're saying, and, you know, or I'm getting a little restless. I'm going to change it. I'm going to turn this off. And I'm like, that's your conditioning. Stay in there. There's something here for you. Stay in there. Stay committed. Stay in the moment. Keep listening. Don't leave yet. Oh, but I feel comfortable. I think I should leave now. No, stay in there. Stay in there. And I mean, there's so many things like that, whether it's a commitment to the yoga every day or whatever it is. I mean, I can't possibly have enough time to dance, as much as you might love it, right? I can't possibly, you know, have the time to do it, or I can't possibly find the time to meditate, or I can't possibly, whatever, like, or, you know, meditation is boring. It's not for me, you know, forget the meditation, you know, I'll just skip it today, or I'll get back to it tomorrow, or what. And that lack of commitment, like, is what creates that gap, you know, where we're just going with the pattern of like, what's just easy to me, which is what? Your conditioning. Until you get more attuned, the conditioning is easier. Once you get more attuned, then yeah, that becomes almost like a conditioning. I kind of understood what you were saying before. Then that's stronger, right? You go to try to eat a piece of cake after not eating any sugar for a month or two, you might spit it back out. You're like, oh my God, is that way too sweet, right? So it's, you have to commit. And I think that's not said enough in the spiritual realm. Like, everyone's like, well, just kind of go with the flow, man. Just all judge, raise the vibration, joy and love. And yeah, that's part of it, but it's not the only thing. So I love that you kept hitting on commitment. I wanted to really highlight that. Yeah, that's so important.
There might be a book in that, because mutual friend Angel, when I was working with her, we're like, I think there is a book in this, because when you look at commitment, so if you look at wholehearted living, the opposite of wholehearted living is half-hearted. Now, the opposite of half-hearted is commitment. So to live wholeheartedly is to be fully committed. And so to be fully committed is about, so if we tie that into the whole heart, to live fully committed, knowing that our hearts are is how we want to be living from, and that relationship and coming home, then we need to commit daily to building that or deepening the connection to ourselves and our essence and our hearts. And the only way we do that is when we commit and every single day give that such deep space, because that is the most important thing, because as we both know, everything derives from that place. When we're living from our hearts, life does flow.
Right.
We can navigate challenges because our hearts are there guiding us moment to moment.
Right.
So the thing that I've discovered with commitment is that when I really, really learned to commit, that's where my life has changed. And when I wasn't, I was coming, as I said, from a place of, this isn't working. When is this going to change? Why am I still here? But when I really took a good look and I became radically responsible for what results I was getting, it was my lack of commitment to staying with something. That's not to say that when a cycle's finished or when something's finished, we've got to be able to hear that and go, okay, that's complete. But I love that example you used with the podcast, is the body and the mind's going, oh no, I'm done. But actually, what could I receive beyond that? There's something that I could potentially receive. And then I bet you, I'm wondering, in you listening to the podcast beyond that, did you receive something?
Oh yeah, almost. I would say every single time. It's like, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been wondering about lately. Or I don't know. I can't. All I know is, like, when I keep listening, it leads into very either expanded places or very interesting places. Like I get new confirmations, or just verification, or maybe a new information, new idea. Whereas I was like, oh, I don't know what they're talking about here. There's nothing here. But something deeper inside of me says, no, keep listening. Don't leave yet. It's similar. Maybe people could relate to this even better, because it's like when you're doing other things like exercise or yoga, things like that aren't always so comfortable, right? But we know how good they can be. So you're in the middle of that yoga, and like some of the videos I watched today, they'll say, "Don't turn this off. Now keep staying with me," right? Because they know people at some point are like, 5 minutes was good enough, or whatever. I felt good. I'm ready to keep going. Like, no, stay in. Like, stay committed. Stay all the way to the end. Only the mind just constantly, the mind's game is distraction. They'll just constantly distract. That's constantly just keep you distracted. That way you'll never come back home. You'll never come back home if you stay distracted enough. So it's a matter of stay committed so you don't get distracted, so you do come back home. And it doesn't mean commit to anything. It means committing to, I don't know how you would put it, but like, it's what? Committed to your truth, committed to your truth, I guess, is the easiest way for me to say it.
Yeah, committed to your relationship with you, which is the truth. And so what I get women, particularly women, to do is to build out a list, not from a place of, if I do all of these things, I'm going to be whole and complete. So a lot of people go into meditation, it's like a tick off the list. And I have really remind them that it's how the energy we come to these things that we're doing for ourselves, like it's an opportunity to connect with us, not from a place of, I'm doing it because I'm going to feel better, or I'm going to do better, or I'm going to be whole. There's something to feel. No. This is my chance to connect home to me.
Right.
And so when they build out this list and they start to see that their commitment is actually, what it does is it builds trust in themselves. Trust that that relationship is actually the most important thing. And from that place, then they start to trust themselves with other things in their lives. And then they start to trust with other people. Like it flows from that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So many people don't trust.
That's so true. I mean, that's foundational principle that I bring up in a lot of things I've done over the years. So the first thing we need to do is trust. Trust, trust, trust. That's and how do we build trust? We have to stay in there. We've got to not. Now, wait a minute, I object. I'm going I'm taking, like they say, take my marbles and go playing somewhere else now. Like, yeah, no, keep committing. Because we've all, I don't know, maybe not everybody, but we've all had people like with clients I've had too. They sign up, they don't even show up. They hand you thousands of dollars or whatever, and they don't even come to one session. Like you said, you wanted it, you said you were committed, or they stop midway and you never hear from them again. Like, okay, what happened there?
I've had the same.
Yeah, and I think most of us have, and you just, I just sense like, I know like whatever I would sign up for, like it was a group program, maybe I'd leave it early, but if it was one-to-one, I'd be like, I don't know, something bad would have to happen for me not to want to return. I mean, like, and that might be more of a reason for me to want to continue and finish it. I mean, like, we got to get to the bottom of this thing, right? I want to stay in it, not run out of it, right? So I think it's a good reminder for everybody as a coach and healer and everything, because we run into these things at so many different levels where we want to run, where we need to stay in. And so that could be a whole podcast right there, right?
That's it. Because for a lot of people that experience that with clients, that then has them reflect on and I can say this in the past, what did I do that person has opted out? And then there's the opportunity then to anchor into, how can I trust myself? This has nothing to do with me and completely to do with the other person.
Right.
And that who I am and what I offer is enough. And their choice to opt out or not turn up is free will.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're hard graders, most of us. I mean, in this space for sure. We're like, our inner critic is a monster, right? You're not good enough. You should have done better there. Because we're conscientious people, right? I mean, the vast majority of coaches and healer types are conscientious. So, I mean, there's always somebody like that isn't so awake, but most of us are pretty, sensitive and conscientious. So but anyway, we could go on for hours more easily here. I'd love for you to share with them. I know you had a surprise gift, because I don't even know what the gift is yet. But you want to share with everybody? Is this a good time to do that? Yeah.
Sure. So I've created a heart activation, which I actually did so with a very close friend of mine who's about to launch an app. And so he creates frequency music. So I've created a heart activation and combined with this extraordinary frequency music, which I think you wouldn't even need my voice to be activated. So it's a 10-minute activation, and I'll be sharing the link with you, which you can share with your audience. And I do hope you enjoy. And that was my gift.
Oh, awesome. Great. So we're going to put that in the show notes, and tell us some more of how awesome it is. I'd love to hear just a little bit more about that. What's gonna be fulfilled? I'm gonna manifest her dream partner. What's gonna happen for them? Yeah.
So what I want to say is that from the feedback of other people, because that's all I can go with, is that we know that we are all frequency, and what this activation does is it connects them to the frequency of their own heart. And so that's the frequency of the music, but also, and I know this to be true, is the frequency of my voice. So there is a richness, there's a tonality, there is something around. I mean, this is something I get told all the time. My voice is like liquid gold. And so it's like, doesn't really matter whether whatever the words are, it's the frequency and the tonality of my voice combined with this music that takes people home. So it gets them to touch into that aspect of themselves that maybe they haven't, or they need to give them that reminder of that place deep inside them.
Nice. Sweet. Wonderful. Nothing better than that. Okay. Liquid gold. I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So check it out, everybody. I look forward to taking a peek myself and listening in. And I'd love to, yeah, love to go ahead now. We're in a segment where we do a little tuning in with the guests. Are you ready for me to give you a couple of downloads, Lisa?
Oh, yes, please.
All right, let's see what wants to come through today. It'll be fun. Okay, let's see. Ooh, that's fun. Okay. So they're showing me you in your like a swami self. So this is likely past life, but I always say it doesn't matter. It just is energy that I'm connecting that's within you. And like there's all these snakes like like you're almost like you're dancing and playing with the snakes, like they're slithering on the ground in front of you. But you're not using like, you know, like showing the movies with the flute or whatever they're doing. But with the snakes, but no, for in this case, it's just like you're so connected with the earth and the energies and the ground, and you're such an effortless connection and flow. They're dancing around like, and you can't, you know, there's no difference between you and them and all that, and it's just you know, some people would say, oh, you're controlling them, you're making them, but it's like all one thing, and you're awake to that, like you just are that, you're just in that. So my sense of that is like not only like is that like a potentiality that lives in you all the time, but also what I feel is true about it is that likely is true. It's like, well, I wonder if I wasn't so connected now, what that journey would be like. So it's almost like almost to some degree, or to some pretty high level of actualization in that life. And then it's like, there's still like maybe this drunken self outside of that. Like, okay, I'm like this here. Then, you know, no, that's just totally different in another level of your life. So yeah, and then it's like was like a sense of okay, like you wasn't fully integrated. So like working out the integration, it was like, okay, what would it be like to experiencing being out of that like in a big way? What is it like to feel like you're out of control, like you don't have the control? And because there was a sense of control within this is the way I feel. So the cool thing about this is that you have a very deep ability to bring energetic harmony and resonance and order into the field around anything. Could be people, could be one person, could be groups of people, could be a city, could be a whatever. So there's a high ability. So that's number one. That's one. Let's see if we get one or two more. Talk more about that on the other side. Let's see what else is coming in through. They're showing me some obvious stuff. They're showing me your third eye, like just the how powerful that can be. It does want to do some peekaboos though. It's like whoa, and then it's like ooh, pull it back in. So it can be very open and expanded. And it's almost like wow, it can get so expanded and bright. It's like the sun. It might burn me out though, or something. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Something like that. I go see the sun coming in. They're showing me the sun, and you're like hot, and you're like, oh my God, that's a lot. That's a lot of psychic energy coming in. So like sweating. And then okay, kind of all right. So that's a lot right there. So that's okay. Let me tune in again because that's really like getting my energy right there. Really. Okay, clear the cache. All right. Yeah, there was something, well, with your heart, of course. So your heart, you know, which is obvious because that's your thing. It's like you do have a big heart chakra energy. So what does that mean? It means when you're in that energy, people want to work with you and play with you. And it may, you know, other parts of your energy structure may limit the amount, but in that energy, it comes easily. And then as long as you, as long as like some of the other programs don't get in the way, like that's how it'll happen. Things happen easily. It's joyful. It's very plentiful. And there's always more than enough to share with others, kind of vibe that's in the heart chakra. Then what happens is the wounding, the old memories of I'm not good enough, you haven't done enough, betrayal, the sense of thievery, like being you being a thief in a past life and being stolen from or devastated or whatever, something like that. It's like a lot of it's like this worthy, like, wait a minute, it shouldn't be so easy for me. So that seems to be a repetitive theme of your soul, like because you've been able to get in such into an ease of manifestation of reality, your realities. It's like, wait a minute, I don't know, maybe it's too easy, you know, or something like that. So there's something in the consciousness around that, or is it appropriate? Is it correct? Is it the right thing to do, and all this sort of thing. But you have incredible magic there. So those are some of the downloads I'm getting to share with you, Lisa. So I'd love to hear your reflection. Yeah.
I love that. So that really resonated. The snakes, that really, all of it rung true. All of it rung true. And the sense of there's been a lot of my lifetime, past lifetime, in this lifetime, that was out of control. Out of control.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. The third eye, yeah, I feel like there's a lot more has been in the last probably 18 months. Mm-hmm. And the sun is something that I resonate deeply with. Mm-hmm. And then the last piece around the heart and things coming to me and having a big heart. I know we all have big hearts. That really resonates, that we all have big hearts. My work is very much heart-based. Like, it's not a coincidence that I've created this body of work, and how I lived so out of my heart to then know how to integrate and live from this place. Not all the time, but more. And how I know when I'm out of it, how things are hard, not easeful, how they are complicated, not simple. So it's beautiful. Thank you. I loved that. That was such a gift.
Sure thing. My pleasure. Yeah, you have a particularly open energy and a big heart chakra. And again, I always tell people I've done countless thousands of scans. I feel like I don't know how many anymore, but I quit counting it when I got over 1,000. I just kind of quit counting. I was curious about how many I did up until about then, but it's who knows how many. And it's remarkable. It's a remarkable aspect of your energy. So you've always had it. It's just that's how good we are at the illusion. Like, pull up all kinds of tricks. I have no connection. I'm so lost. Then you have this huge heart shock at the same time, right? We could pull off these things really ingeniously, right? So anyway, it's been such a delight to have you on. I just want to direct people quickly to my website again. Again, check everything out at yoursacredpurpose.com if you want to get your own energy scanning. But I'll do it, similarly, but also I'll dive specifically in your chakras around your business and what's happening and what wants to be happening in your business based on my own download. And again, whatever resonates, great. Usually it does resonate when it comes through. So if you want to get your own consultation, only if you're ready to rock, go to yoursacredpurpose.com and you can sign up for that. You do have to invest for it because it's a real session. It's not a dog and pony show. It's like the real deal. And yes, you can always get more from me. And then the other thing is my free Make Money meditation. Again, I'm telling you guys, my new line with that is, I defy anyone to listen to that on a daily basis and not see more prosperity in your life. It will absolutely happen if you actually, do it, you tend to it, you allow yourself to be present with it each day in a true sense, then there's just no way. There's no way. So you're going to see more prosperity financially and otherwise in your life. So check it out at yoursacredpurpose.com. All right, Lisa. So you're going to get the last word before we close out. So any last words of wisdom for everybody?
Commit to you. Because as you said, that's where success is born from. That's it. Commit. Commit to you. Commit to your truth. Commit to coming home. Again and again and again and again, and don't ever stop.
Yeah, and I just have to say something off of that. I don't always do this with the last word, but on this one, it feels like it'd be helpful to say this, to put the exclamation mark on top of that, maybe, is even when you feel like you've blown it 1 billion times with your life and committing to yourself and everything, like, it doesn't matter. I always say, you slip off, it does not matter. It doesn't matter for how many times or how long. You just keep coming back every single time. Just keep coming back. That's all that matters. So just wanted to, add that in. So, because people are, like, it's so easy to just think, I blew it, forget it, I'm not committed enough. Oh, well, no, come back. You know how to commit. You've done it before. Just keep committing. Yeah. So, all right. All right. Yeah. Anything last words off of that? Then I won't jump anymore.
I love that because that's what stops people from commitment, is when they judge themselves for not sticking to something. And so what you just said, I love that, how you said, and irrespective, it's harder to come back and commit when we've fallen off the bandwagon. Yeah. So can we each forgive ourselves for falling off or not staying committed, and recommit? And it is like literally, that's why I kept saying it's a moment to moment. Okay, well, I feel off. Can I forgive myself? Well, I'm going to choose to forgive myself, and I'm going to choose to recommit now.
Yeah.
And you build a muscle.
Yeah, totally. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing. It's so beautiful, so amazing. I'm so grateful. And I want to thank everybody else for tuning in, all our listeners. Hey, thanks for listening in. Yes, subscribe, hit the like button, turn on your notifications if you want. I don't like turning on bells, but you might like a bell. Ring, 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 ring. But whatever floats your boat, okay? I like to have fun, you know me. And most importantly, we'll keep on rocking, and you keep on tuning in. And I'll see you next time here on Spirits for Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Listening to Spirits for Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.